In Las Vegas, there's a saying that you might be familiar with: the house always wins. That's because in Las Vegas, every faucet, every shower, and yes, even every toilet is a winner. If you flush it or you brush it, in most cities that water would disappear. However, in Las Vegas, that water doesn't go to waste, it actually comes back. Recycling water from mega resorts, businesses, and homes has been in place in Southern Nevada for well over 50 years, and many of you may not even realize it. In fact, Las Vegas does it basically better than anybody else on the planet. In this video, we'll explain how water from a hotel, a home, or a business is actually treated safely and returned here to Lake Mead to be used again. It's a really interesting process that also supports about 900 species of wildlife along the way. The recycling system in Vegas is simple to explain. Virtually every drop of water that goes down an indoor drain, whether it's from a hotel room, business, or residence, enters the sanitary sewer system to be treated and eventually sent back to Lake Mead. But how is that water counted towards Southern Nevada's water supply? We'll explain throughout the video. First, Las Vegas gets 90% of its water supply from the Colorado River. Nevada receives the smallest share of the river, just 300,000 acre-feet per year, or 1.8%. But while Nevada gets 300,000 acre-feet, in 2024, Nevada diverted 457,000 acre-feet from the river. How is this possible? It's water recycling, specifically return flow credits. If Nevada puts a gallon back in the river, it can draw out another gallon. We'll continue to explain how this actually works, but first, a history lesson. When the Colorado River Compact was drafted in 1922, the original agreement of how water from the river would be split, the population in Southern Nevada was only around 5,000 people. At the time, the amount of water the Colorado River produced was estimated at around 15 million acre-feet a year. That amount was the base number used to divide between the 7 states and eventually Mexico in the original compact. However, since the year 2000, the Colorado has only been producing about 12 million acre-feet a year, a 3 million acre-foot deficit, or almost 1 trillion gallons less annually. But since every state is entitled to the same amount of water in the original agreement, it's led to a significant shortfall. Over 25 years, this megadrought has resulted in Lake Mead dropping to levels only seen when the lake was first being filled. The lake has been under a federal water shortage declaration since 2022 and will continue through at least 2026. Today, Southern Nevada's population is well over 2 million. The annual allotment from the Colorado River isn't enough on its own. As we told you, the 300,000 acre-feet allocated is less than the 457,000 acre-feet of diversions. To survive, Las Vegas operates under a very important water recycling arrangement called return flow credits. That whole process begins right here at the Clark County Water Reclamation District. And Bud Craner is here from the Reclamation District. Bud, overall in Southern Nevada, it's about 200 million gallons of water a day, 300 Olympic-sized swimming pools that we recycle. You guys do about half of that. I can't imagine what comes from the hotel rooms and all the residences across the Las Vegas Valley. It ends up here, and it turns out to near drinking water quality. Tell me about this process.
Yeah, they say what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. What happens in Las Vegas ends up here in the morning. We process here at the Clark County Water Reclamation District about 105 to 110 million gallons a day. So in unincorporated Clark County, we maintain a network of almost 2,400 miles of pipes. And so you think about your house, when you take a shower, you flush your toilet, or you wash your dishes, that all goes down your drain, right? And it goes down your pipes, and then it flows out your main out into the sewer system. So all of the wastewater from all our residences, our businesses, the Las Vegas Strip, anything in unincorporated Clark County comes here. And when it comes here, it enters through our bar screens. And that's where it filters out all of the non-flushable wipes. People really shouldn't flush those. It filters out plastic bags, trash, anything people throw down in their toilet or down their drain, that all comes here. And those big things get filtered out there: rocks, debris, eggshells, coffee grounds, that kind of stuff. Then the water goes to what we call our primary clarifiers. And those are great big basins that hold about 1 million gallons each. And that's where all the solids, all the nasty stuff people don't like to talk about, where all those solids settle to the bottom. And then we pull those out and we send those up to be processed, where we squeeze all the water out of that we can. And then the water from those basins actually is pumped right here to what we call our aeration basins. And this is where the magic really happens, where the water really starts to get clean.
The process is much more biological than it is chemical. A lot of people think that to treat wastewater, you're going to have to dump a lot of chemicals into it, but it's actually a relatively natural process. And I know it begins right here. Let's speak a little bit more to some of the organic things that take place to clean this water out.
Yeah, absolutely. We rely really heavily on science here. It's really biology and gravity that we utilize. A lot of places do use more chemicals like chlorine, but since we discharge into the Colorado River system, the permits for what we have to clean require that if we put chemicals in, we have to take those out. So we rely more on science here than anything. There's two different processes going on here. On one side, it's an anoxic process, meaning there's no oxygen. And the bacteria that we use in that process are getting out a lot of the ammonia, and they convert that to nitrogen, and they get out the nitrates. And then it goes to an oxygenated process. And when we introduce the oxygen, then those bacteria, the little nematodes and the amoebas, and they start attacking the phosphorus, and they clean. Those are the two big things we're really trying to get out. They get a lot of stuff out here, but we don't want to send any of that out to Lake Mead because that affects the quality of the lake. So that's what we're really treating here. And by the time it gets through this process, even though this water behind us looks a little dirty, what's going out of here is really clean.
You had bark, layers of bark that are cover up some of the water.
Earlier in the process, it's pretty smelly. And we try to be good neighbors to people around us, so we've invested a lot of money in technology to help clean the air. The biggest thing we employ are called biofilters. And we have big beds full of bark or ceramic medium. And on that bark, on that ceramic medium, little microbiomes are formed. And the little bacteria in those microbiomes, we pump all the air off those primary clarifiers. We pull that nasty air off and we pump it underneath those beds. And it filters up through that bark, and the bacteria eat the hydrogen sulfides and the things that make the air smell bad. And so we employ, again, a biological process to help clean the air as part of this process.
The campus we're on, I know, is bigger than the size of Disneyland.
That's right. Yeah, we're bigger than Disneyland. We have about 700 acres here. We have a project right now to increase our capacity. Right now we treat about 105 to 110 million gallons a day come through here that we discharge back into the wash. We're expanding that capacity up to 150 million gallons a day just to accommodate the growth that's happening in the valley, and to make sure we can continue to receive those return flow credits you talked about that are really essential for life in this valley.
There's not a lot of entities across the planet that really treat water to the level that we do. You alluded to it before, but how rare is our water system in the context, I guess, of everybody that tries to pull off what we're doing here?
Yeah, so the Clark County Water Reclamation District is recognized really around the world for the processes that we employ here, especially since we use so much biology and science instead of chemicals. And we have people that come here from across the country and across the world to see our processes. And we've gotten better and better through the years. I mean, everybody knows we live in a desert, so water is like gold here. It's so precious. And with our allocation shrinking off the Colorado River system, and the fact that when what we clean here has to go back into that system, we're regulated super heavily on how we have to treat here. So we have to employ the best practices that we can to clean the water to the highest standards to go back into that federal waterway.
We've moved to the secondary clarifiers, Bud, and again, I don't know why I'm so blown away by this, but the water's clear.
Yeah, this is the next step in the process once it leaves the aeration basins. And from here, all of those little bacteria and those little bugs that were eating all the pollutants over there, the contaminants, are being filtered out. And so when the water leaves here, it's pretty darn clean. In fact, this is the level to which a lot of places, a lot of wastewater agencies clean their water and they discharge. But since we're on the Colorado River system, we want those return flow credits. We have to clean it a step further because of those permits that we have, those federal permits. But once it leaves here, yeah, this is cleaner than most other places treat their water to.
Tell me about some of the common misconceptions about water recycling that maybe the community has. And hopefully we've answered some of those questions that you might have to this point. But I know the community plays a huge part in the success of water recycling, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody plays a part in our water quality and conserving water. And I think a lot of people think that they can just wash anything down the drain, flush anything down the drain, and that's really not the case. When it goes down your drain, that's going into your pipes, and then it's coming into our pipes. So you really shouldn't put things like coffee grounds or eggshells down your garbage disposal. You shouldn't be washing grease down your drain. All that stuff has an impact on your pipes. And then when you think about all the people that are doing that across the valley, that makes its way to our pipes. In addition, since we rely so heavily on science and biology, we're really sensitive to people who are, we don't want people flushing toxic chemicals or pollutants down the drain any more than what they already do, because that impacts the biology of what we do. So we don't want people to treat toilets like trash cans.
Okay, so we're actually almost done with the entire treatment process. Maybe we're giving a very high-level overview, but I want to see where this water comes out and the beginnings of what's called the Las Vegas Wash. After a third round of filtering and some ultraviolet light processes that we use at the Southern Nevada Water Authority before the water is sent to your home, I'm burying the lead here, Bud, but look at this wall of water. Millions and hundreds of millions of gallons of water. And this water is actually treated again before it's delivered to your home from Lake Mead. But it actually sounds like a storm right now. I want to talk about storm water really quick. People get stoked when it starts to rain in the Las Vegas Valley. They think it's, one, going to make a dent in our water supply, which it does not. It's very insignificant in our overall water supply. But Bud, storm water is a lot lower quality water than what you guys are churning out here through the wash and eventually to the lake, yeah?
When water goes into the stormwater system, you think about everything you see in the flood channels. There's a lot of debris, a lot of trash. You get a lot of runoff from the roadways, so you get dust and rocks, and you get oil, you get all those contaminants that come from, just life in Las Vegas that flows down into that wash. It gets pretty contaminated. So when that water washes down in there and there's a storm, and it washes down that channel, that's pretty dirty water. So what comes here, we treat that, and what's coming out here is obviously really, really clean, way cleaner than what you're going to get in the stormwater channel.
Bud, thank you so much. Your step in this process is all done, and it's probably the toughest step. But as we go through the process, next up is the Las Vegas Wash, and while this water is clean, the cleaning process actually isn't done. It's a 15-mile journey before it ends up in Lake Mead, and part of that journey is right here. We have Debbie Van Dormelen with us. Debbie is a senior biologist with the Southern Nevada Water Authority, and she's here to tell us about the Las Vegas Wash, specifically the wetlands part of the Las Vegas Wash. About 200 acres, and it supports over 900 species of wildlife. Is that right, Debbie?
It sure does. It supports abundant wildlife, more than 1,000 if you consider all the different varied species of plants that we have here too. And that water, as it's flowing through all these extensive wetland grasses that you see, the cattails, the bulrush, the reed, it's getting filtered and it's getting cleaned. There's a variety of contaminants that come from living in this glorious urban environment that we live in, and excess nutrients that can come down the channel, and total suspended solids that can come down the channel. And these wetlands filter that out from the flows so that once those flows reach Lake Mead, they're a lot cleaner than they used to be.
The wash has always been here, kind of informally, but we built it up over the years. Can you talk about the evolution of the wash?
Oh, the change has been dramatic. So if you look back early 1900s, very few people in the valley. The wash is a true desert wash. So using the geomorphological term, it is a dry desert channel that only flows during storm events. But then all of us started showing up. And so by the 1950s, city managers were looking around and saying, well, we need to treat and discharge wastewater. What are we gonna do? And they see this channel here and say, well, let's discharge it into the Las Vegas Wash. So in the 1950s, the wash moves from being what we would call an ephemeral stream to being a perennial river, basically. All of a sudden we move into an erosive environment. We get down cutting, we get head cutting, and you've got a loads of total suspended solids going out to Lake Mead. This is bad for water quality and it's bad for the environment. So we're losing that filtering capacity of the wash too. And so the Las Vegas Wash Coordination Committee came together in 1998, a group of stakeholders, vast group of stakeholders, and said, we've got to develop a long-term management plan and implement that plan for the wash. And here we are now 25 plus years later after they came together, and we have stabilized the channel, we have restored the ecological function of the channel. It's a very different environment than it was back in the early 1900s, but I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, 200 million gallons of water a day flowing down a channel. You don't realize how much erosion can take place. As far as the wildlife goes, vertebrates, invertebrates, I'm no expert on this stuff. You tell me what we have here, and we were spotting birds. You said a blue heron flew out here, an osprey flew out here. Like, it's a really picturesque spot, and it's really popular among the locals, right? Again, another kind of side benefit to recycling water. I think that's pretty cool.
It is. It's amazing that we can have this function that is so important to our community and its water resources, and yet it is also so important in the dry Mojave Desert to the wildlife, to the ecosystem, to the plants. The Mojave Desert is basically the driest desert out there. Maybe on average 4-ish to 6-ish inches of rain per year. So many species of wildlife, particularly birds, are keyed in to water and just would not be here if the wash wasn't present in this form that it is today.
And you were saying the bar charts are going up. That gets you excited. I don't know that anybody gets excited about bar charts, but you guys apparently do.
It does, because it's just such a dramatic picture. I'm actually working on a manuscript for publication right now and was looking at doing some complex statistics, and you don't really need to. It's just they weren't there, here they are.
You know, people look at recycled water and they're like, it gets them a little weirded out, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. The stormwater is actually worse. Can you touch on that?
Well, I would say that the recycled water is actually why I am willing to get physically into the Las Vegas Wash when I need to. Sometimes the bird surveys that we do or the other surveys that we do require us to put on some waders and get in that channel. And even though I have waders to protect me, knowing that 85% of the flows are coming from the treatment plants, our treated Colorado River water, is the reason why I'm willing to get into the channel, because the regular urban runoff, just the daily flow urban runoff, is picking up that stuff from the streets. And so think about that compared to storm flows. The stormwater runoff is urban runoff on a massive scale. It's not just your neighbor didn't dispose of their pool water properly or they washed their car outside. It is like the heavens are doing that to the entire valley at the same time. And so that picks up motor oils, pesticides, picks up just physical garbage. The amount of physical garbage that comes down the wash channel during a storm event is actually somewhat horrifying. So the stormwater runoff is definitely of worse water quality than that treated wastewater that we have. It's highly treated, virtually indistinguishable from drinking water. That's why we get return flow credits from it.
It's a 15-mile journey here. It's not short. It's getting hit with sunlight. It's going through the greenery. Let's hit hard the filtration process and how a natural filter is also a great thing as this water makes its way out to the lake.
It is commonly used in environmental education to describe wetlands as nature's kidney. And so think about what your kidneys do for your body. It's filtering out the impurities, it's filtering out contaminants. And so when that water continues to flow its way out to Lake Mead, it's cleaned every step of the way by this natural process. So it's coming in very clean, the majority of it, because it's coming from one of our 4 treatment facilities. But then it gets polished, shall we say, from these wetlands that we have that are so extensive now and run the length of the wash.
it filters the water, it supports a bunch of wildlife, as we talked about. It seems like the wash can do it all in this process of getting water back into Lake Mead, huh?
It sure can, and we just want the community to realize that and the role that they play in the wash channel, helping us keep it clean, helping us get the most efficient return flows that we can out to Lake Mead and support this abundant wildlife and this tremendous ecosystem.
And you love it. I see it. Come out and visit the wetlands at the Las Vegas Wash. Right here, we've reached the end of the Las Vegas Wash, and as we move to the side, oh, look at this huge body of water. It's the start of Lake Mead, the biggest reservoir in the United States. This is where those return flow credits are put to work, and joining me now is Zane Marshall. He's the Director of Resources with the Southern Nevada Water Authority. Zane, this is a critical moment here while we may be looking at the beauty here of Lake Mead. This is where return flow credits take place. Every gallon we put back in is another gallon that we can take out. Explain that for us.
So the Las Vegas Wash and Lake Mead create an opportunity for Las Vegas where all of the water that we use indoors, which is about 45% of the water that we deliver to the community, can be treated by 4 wastewater treatment plants in the valley and returned back to the Las Vegas Wash. And we get a credit for every single gallon that we return back to the wash. Because of our ability to get credits for return flows, we're able to extend our water supply by as much as 75%.
That's amazing, and let's get a little bit deeper in this because I guess the terminology is diverted water versus consumed water. Explain that difference for us, and again, we can divert, but as long as we don't consume, we can put those credits back in.
Right, so the Southern Nevada Water Authority diverts our Colorado River allocation from Lake Mead through our Saddle Island facilities and moves that water into the Las Vegas Valley. Again, 45% of that water is used indoors by our community, and then it moves into the wastewater system and is treated and returned back. 55% of the water is used outdoors and is consumed by irrigation, evaporative cooling, or other industrial processes that move that water into the environment, right? So our focus is to get as much of that water back into the system through our wastewater treatment system, and so that we can get credit for it. That's one of the reasons why our conservation programs are focused on those consumptive uses. By reducing those consumptive uses, we're able to then extend our water supply for the community.
So Zane, you're answering the question I posed earlier in the video about how we can divert 457,000 acre feet, which is the amount we took out in 2024, and then put some back in, even though our allocation is 300,000 acre feet a year. It's through this return flow credits process. It's through consumed water versus diverted water. It seems like a pretty cool process, and we benefit from it.
So consumptive use is diversions less returns. It's really very simple. And our allocation is limited to 300,000 acre feet of consumptive use. So we can divert an additional 157,000 acre feet, but only really be billed for the 300,000 acre feet that we consumed, right? And our consumptive use was only like 212,000 acre feet last year, so we're well within our allocation. And this allows us to continue to accommodate additional population growth in our community and economic development.
Okay, well, the big question that everybody's asking, if we didn't have this return flow credit system, where would that leave the Las Vegas Valley? It seems like it is a necessary part of our community.
Absolutely. So it's important to understand that the return flow credit methodology extends our water supply by as much as 75%. So if we didn't have this available to us, it would significantly limit our water supply and our ability to meet the community's needs over the long term.
So Zane, when people hear recycled water that we are using in Southern Nevada, that maybe doesn't lead to the best imagery. However, as Debbie explained, and you're going to explain more in depth, this really is high quality water that comes back through the Las Vegas Wash that's filtered naturally, and it's a lot better quality water than what you would pick up, let's say, on a storm event that picks up dirt and grease and oils and all that kind of stuff, yeah?
That's right. So the dischargers in the Las Vegas community treat wastewater to a high level before it's discharged back into the environment. And then the work that the Las Vegas Wash Coordination Committee has done and the community has done to establish wetlands and wetland vegetation in the wash helps to polish that water as it moves through the wash. And so overall the water is relatively clean. It's not drinkable yet, but it's relatively clean as it moves into Lake Mead. So the Las Vegas wash flows about 200 to 250 million gallons a day, which is about 2% of the total flows into Lake Mead.
So it's not a significant amount. We're not talking about changing the overall water quality of the lake then.
That's right.
And it's not like we just take water out of Lake Mead and deliver it to your home. That water is, again, treated safely one more time before you turn on that tap. And you might be hearing this saying, you know, we're just taking a lot of water out. Again, reminding you, we get the smallest share of the Colorado River in Nevada, but also Las Vegas, Southern Nevada, massive leaders in conservation. As you mentioned, everybody stepped up. Businesses, golf courses, schools, residents, we've all stepped up to conserve as much water as possible, especially outdoors.
Absolutely. So since the early 2000s, Southern Nevada has been a leader in conservation through programs like our Water Smart landscaping program to remove turf and replace it with Water Smart landscaping that uses drip irrigation, more efficient irrigation methods, and also to incentivize the adoption of technologies like water efficient cooling technologies through our water efficient technology program. So in doing this, we've been able to accommodate additional over 800,000 people coming into our community, and we've reduced our Colorado River consumption by 35%.
Yeah, so everybody that lives in Southern Nevada, you are doing your part. We thank you for it. Bigger picture now, the rarity of this water recycling system that Las Vegas and Southern Nevada uses, this doesn't happen often throughout the world, yeah?
So I think we're water limited, right? This in our community and region is a water scarce area, and necessity breeds innovation, right? Because of our limited water supply, we've had to be more aggressive about conservation to ensure that we have a long-term reliable water supply for our community. And because of that, we have become leaders in the world, really. It's not to say that other regions or other communities in the Southwest are not undertaking conservation, but they look to us as an example. I'd just like to mention, for example, Phoenix, Orange County, Los Angeles, communities in Australia, Singapore, they're all taking measures to be more efficient with the way that they use water. And in fact, Southern Nevada Water Authority has entered into a cooperative agreement with a Metropolitan Water District to assist in the development of an advanced wastewater treatment plant that'll produce as much as 155 million gallons per day. And Southern Nevada will get a portion of Colorado River's allocation up to 25,000 acre feet. So this is it's a regional collaboration to more efficiently use limited water supply and meet our community's needs well into the future.
Not to pin you down here, but I'm going to kind of pin you down here. But at the end of the day, the concept of really extending our water supply and this water recycling thing, I mean, we've been doing it for a while out here, but Las Vegas, we're at the tippy top of the mountain, yeah?
That's right. I think so. I think, you know, there are other communities that are certainly, you know, doing things to reduce their consumption. But Southern Nevada, the Las Vegas community is really taking the lead in pushing the envelope on policy and initiatives that result in much more efficient use of our limited water supply. So we've been successful in conservation because of the commitment of our community and our elected officials and the understanding that conservation really is the way that we're able to meet the long-term needs of our community and also make us more resilient to things like climate change and policy changes that may be out of our control on the Colorado River.
Yeah, so Southern Nevada is not just about water recycling, it is about water conservation. Zane, thank you so much for answering our questions.
Yeah, thank you.
When it comes to indoor water use, now you know the house, Las Vegas, always wins. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you learned something new, and we want to remind you, if you visit Southern Nevada or you live in Southern Nevada especially, outdoor water use conservation is critical to sustaining our water supply. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about return flow credits and maybe in a little bit more shorter, digestible format, just click on this next video right here and we'll give you a bite-sized version of what they are.